life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here. Leading authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being, let alone your most evocative dreams.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and like I always like to say, that's because I make it that way. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio, the talk show that brings you thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. And today is a big first. You get to see my face live. Da, 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 da. How do I look? Do I match the voice? Da, da, da. As always, I like to get the show started with just a little connecting exercise. And for those that usually tune in, I'm going to change it up just a little bit. And if we can just get quiet for a second and take in a deep breath. And I want you to just focus on connecting to universal spirit, Allah, God, whatever it is that you believe brings you great power. Just focus on that connection, deep breath. Let that breath out. Keep it. Let's do that one. Take a breath. Really want to focus on things that you were grateful for. It's your life host, really an attitude of gratitude. I'm grateful today. Be able to see my face.
I had to get dressed this morning.
I know. I'm not anymore. Apple co-host with me today. I have a brand new co-host. She's kind of cruising on us. A friend of mine. And again, to Jackie's and you are Rebecca. And Jackie. Of course, there. Hi, Ellie.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you.
As always, I like to, this is kind of different. So I like to open up the show and connect with the co-hosts. And so Jackie, you've got some big things happening. You're going in for an operation tomorrow, and you've been telling us about working with the kids. How's that going?
Oh, it's always going great. I'm going to miss them for the day that I'm out for surgery, but we've been talking about superheroes and how they became superheroes. And the ones we've talked about is the Atom. You ever heard of the Atom?
Yeah, Adamant.
No, the Atom.
The Atom.
Al Pratt was his actual name. Anyway, he was a college student who was kind of scrawny and always got teased. And so he decided that he would better himself, and he hired a boxing champion to be his coach, and got really strong, and then decided he was going to go fight crime and injustices. And then we talk about Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, all who had somewhat normal experiences in life, but made choices to be something more than they were. So we're talking about that with the kids, and finding out what their superpowers are right now and how they can empower themselves even more by doing different things or doing better things. So
just to update our listeners a little bit, Jackie teaches kids the art of public speaking and connecting and speaking their voice, and it is so empowering. And I hope, I think I'm going to be her first employee. Is that the deal?
That'd be awesome.
and be a teacher for a group of kids, and that's kind of cool. I'm excited, really. It's kind of cool.
It is fun. They, their minds are so malleable right now. Malleable. Changeable. How's that? Right now, but they don't know what they really believe.
Right.
They're
figured it out yet.
Hearing their parents talk and their teachers give their opinions, but the kids aren't quite sure yet what they really believe. So we've been learning about that too. What is it that they really believe, and how do they make a difference in the world because of that belief?
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's been really fun.
And Rebecca is in the middle of a speech contest. She's got a really cool speech cooking and looking for support. And how are you feeling about that speech, Rebecca?
Well, I have crafted a brand new speech.
Da, 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 da.
And actually, it is about how a teacher affected my life through and inspiring me and encouraging me and truly changed my life. Still to this day, I feel her influence. And although it was a very short time, it's amazing how one person touching another at the right time with their light, as I call it, illuminating a path through encouragement can change a life forever.
I think I think we can all pick that person. I mean, if you pose that question, I think people pop into our mind.
And many people. She was the first of many people.
Totally.
And many of those people, 2 of those people are right here today who've been lights for me. Hello, Todd and Jackie. And now Ellie.
And now Ellie. Ellie is really going to inspire us today. I do want to remind the listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net. You can go there and find any links that we talk about with our guest today, so you don't have to worry about writing them down. You can just kick back and enjoy, and make sure I'd really appreciate it if you tell a friend about it. And while you're at the lifemasteryradio.net website, sign up for the newsletter. Jackie does a really great job every week, and she highlights guests that are coming on the show and the guests that have been on the show. She also writes a nice blog post after the show that kind of highlights what we discovered and what we learned and any insights that we got. So while you're there on lifemasteryradio.net, sign up for the newsletter. That's all we use that email address for, is to distribute the newsletter. I want to remind listeners too. Oh, go ahead, Jack.
I was going to say, we don't spam you.
We don't spam.
Yeah.
No spam.
Good,
I do want to remind the listeners today, if you're listening live and you are inspired by our guest or anything that we talk about and you want to call in with a question, I think we can still do that on this venue. I'll have to check with Cam, but here's the number anyway. 844-390-8255. And I'm pretty sure our engineer can pipe you into this wonderful discussion. Anything I forgot, Jackie?
I think that's about it, but there's an easy way, a really easy way to sign up for the newsletter as well. So if they just if they take out their phone, they can text us at 8 28 and then just type in Life Mastery Radio, and there you go.
Is it 28 or 228?
22828, and then just type in Life Mastery Radio, and you're on.
We made it real easy. They must have to put their email address in too, huh?
They will eventually, yeah. But that kind of gives you the first initial contact, and then you put in your other information, and you're set to go. It's really easy.
Okay, I think we're ready for a show. She's been waiting patiently. Look at that smile. She's got this huge. This is kind of cool. I have to get over this. There's a lot of moving parts to making this happen, especially with video. But we're gonna get right into it. Our guest today is Ellie Pechet. And Ellie is a highly trained metaphysician with over 33 years of professional counseling and healing experience. In her private practice as an intuitive counselor, medium, shaman, and metaphysician, Ellie helps clients from all over the world by using her proven distant healing intuitive therapy and the Pechet Healing Technique. Her training and abilities support a lifelong passion to help heal as many people as possible so they can live a life as their authentic self. And I really, really dig that. Ellie, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you today?
Thanks. I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show, Todd. How are you?
And she's still packing that smile. Isn't that cool? I bet that smile takes you places, huh?
When you smile, you feel better automatically, and
Totally.
and other people smile when you know what I mean. It's
Totally. So Ellie, I mean, I researched pretty extensively this morning. I read your book, and I've watched a lot of testimonials on YouTube of people that you've helped. And did you always know that you were an intuitive or a healer? Let's just call it a healer. Is that the good word?
That's okay. I would say no. I didn't know that I was a healer to the extent that I am when I was young. It's been a gradual unfolding. It's been a real process as I've gotten trained over the years, and and I got my my master's degree in counseling, and then I started getting trained in energy healing techniques, and along the way I discovered, you know, my gifts unfolded. Discovering that I was a medium unfolded naturally. Discovering that I was a shaman unfolded naturally. Those were not things that I went to school for. They really started coming back. My abilities in those areas started coming back as memories. Just all of a sudden, I knew how
Right.
to, you know, connect with someone in spirit, whether they were earthbound or had gone to the light.
Well, then I'm really curious. So is this something, because it's truly a gift, but is this something that you think because of your experiences that you developed, or was this a gift that you were given?
It was a gift that I definitely came in with. If you believe in past lives and reincarnation, which I do very, very strongly, and the unfolding of those gifts and memories happened at the right time over time. Does that make sense?
Totally. I guess the direction that I was heading is, you know, a lot of past very influential teachers have stated, you know, I too, you can do what I can do. So I guess the direction I'm headed in is everybody has this ability to connect and tune in. And is that your philosophy? Is that your belief, or is it? I mean, you have an exquisite gift, but does everybody have the capability and the possibility of tapping into that?
That's a good question, Todd. I would say, you know, depending on where people are at on the, you know, in their own process and development as a human being, and also as a soul, they will have access to different levels of intuition and abilities. So can everyone connect with people who have, you know, who've died, people that they care about or otherwise? Not necessarily.
Okay.
People have different strengths.
Right.
Well,
that was where I was trying to get to. Yeah. Right. We all have some kind of talent and some kind of gift. So you wrote
absolutely.
this amazing book called Hitching a Ride.
Yeah.
A guide to earthbound spirits and how they affect you.
Right.
So let's just drill down into that a little bit and define what you mean by a hitchhiker or somebody that hitches a ride on us. Maybe explain for us what that looks like and what that means.
A person who well, the reason that I chose that title was because it's kind of similar to hitching a ride on the road and hoping that you're going to get a ride from, you know, some stranger. When spirits get stuck here and they don't, for whatever reason, they miss the window of opportunity to go to the light, that's one of the reasons that spirits will, you know, become earthbound. They are just hanging out. They're in limbo. They don't have a physical vessel anymore, but they still have their personality because they haven't gone home. They haven't gone to the light. So the only thing that has changed is that they don't have a physical body anymore. So they can't be seen. And so what they do is eventually they will find someone who they want to hang out with. And that's the first step. And then the next step is they will say, hey, you know, I would like to be in a physical body again. I'm stuck here anyway. I might as well. I'd like to be able to eat and drink and, smoke if they were a smoker. And so then they can enter the other person energetically. It's very easy. And that's when the person who they've entered all of a sudden will start noticing personality changes or new habits or taking up something that they never did before, like smoking or like eating certain foods, Fritos or whatever it is that the hitchhiker used to like. Does that make sense?
Totally. But yet, so these hitchhikers jump on board, and in your book, you have a description, in a way to notice that this is happening is all of a sudden, maybe insomnia or, like you said, addictive behaviors, eating disorders, irritability. There could be a whole host of things that are going on in a person, and they got a hitchhiker. There's a person that says, hey, I'm going to play with you for a while, or at least I want to take you over. Am I getting it right?
Yeah, an example is coming to mind of a client I worked with a few years ago, if that would be helpful.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. So a woman sent her husband in to see me because he was crying. He was very emotional and would just start crying at the drop of a hat. And he was also very, very depressed, and she didn't know what was going on because this was new for him. He was like a regular, person. And so when he came in, he was telling me about, for example, with my counseling background, I always take a background. I have new clients fill out a few forms, and so that I can see basically what their background is. One of the things that he talked about was their dog had died a little over a year before. And even when he was talking about it, and even though it was over a year later, he just started sobbing. And I noticed that was a little unusual, to be that emotional this long after the incident. And men don't tend to be as emotional as women. They just don't generally. Of course, there's always exceptions. But then we were talking about something else. And again, he started crying. And, this was like an average Joe, like an average guy. And so I said, I think something is up here. And I suspect that he has a spirit with him who is very emotional. And sure enough, when I checked, there was a woman inhabiting him. And she was very emotional. And so I removed her. I sent her to the light so she could move on and he could move on. And he stopped crying. All of that, over emotionalism stopped. He felt much better.
Wow.
So we let's qualify something, because it's not like you, in what I've discovered, it's not like you say, get out of here, you're out of here, just leave, but you guide them to what it is their next evolution is supposed to be, and following and heading toward the light, correct?
That's my job, Todd, is just get them home so that they can continue their process as a soul. It is so important that souls go home, also known as the light, so that they can do a life review, they can be welcomed and reunited with their loved ones. And, there's a whole process before they prepare, decide if they're going to come back to have another experience as a soul,
right.
But there are numerous steps before that. So yes, my role is kind of not the gatekeeper, but I would say maybe like a divine escort to get them unstuck from this earth plane. And
show them the way, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so very cool. And So I have to imagine that, well, I'll say it like this. What I understand about you, Ellie, is your objective is to help people with these hitchhikers and to help the hitchhiker. I mean, it's a win-win situation. And your goal, and you strive to work yourself out of a job. Did I get it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in a sense. My work is short term. However, once I remove one or more spirits, and there can be other energies, as you read in the book, then I can work on, I can work with the client to heal any core issues that are getting in the way of them living a happy, fulfilling, and successful life. So it's really two, part one and part two.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to just open it up. I think I've hogged enough of the airwaves. I'm just reeling and watching me and watching her and watching my two co-hosts, and Jackie's sitting there really patient. Does something come to mind, Jackie?
Well, first, yes. Ellie, I wanted to say that I'm amazed by your gift.
Oh, thank you.
And that you use it to help so many people. And as I was reading through your book, you provide story after story about how your special gifts have enabled people to live a more fulfilled life, to live it with well-being and happiness. And so thank you for using your gift in such a powerful way. As we talk about these hitchhikers, I'm wondering what kinds of people are there? I think you mentioned in your book there's at least a couple of different kinds. There's those random people, and then there's karmic entities. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means? How do you define the two of those?
Sure. So I prefer to call spirits spirits rather than entities. Entities is more of a kind of generalization, and it can include all types of different energy forms that are not human. So when it comes to earthbound spirits, the difference between random and karmic is that a random spirit is someone who, as I was describing earlier, might be just sort of lost. There are places that there tend to be more spirits than others, such as hospitals, because a lot of people die there. And sometimes they die, very unexpectedly, and they either get scared, to go anywhere, or they're in shock. They don't realize that they have died. Anyway, so it could be just someone wandering the halls there that really wants to find someone to be with. That would be a random spirit attachment. The spirit doesn't know the person that they attach to. That's why it's random. It could happen in a grocery store or, in a movie theater, all kinds of places. There's no karma there, but a karmic spirit attachment is a spirit who has found the person that they attach to and has a grievance. They're upset with that person for something that happened in a previous life when they knew each other. And as you read in the book, that can be anything from business partners where one swindled the other. It could be a sibling who manipulated the family inheritance away from another sibling. It could be a barroom fight in which several friends are gathered, and one of them, maybe two of them, got into a fight, and one of them killed the other one, and the one who was killed comes back, recognizes the soul that killed him, and attaches and harasses. This is what they'll do. They'll harass the person that they're upset with. It can go on until, the rest of their life, unless the client, finds me and I work with them and I can diagnose, who is with them. I can hear the story. I can talk to the spirit and I ask them, what happened? What are you upset about? And they tell me the story, and then I tell the client, what happened, because they won't remember it consciously. And then I take them through a process in which the spirit eventually is willing to move on.
And you say willing. They are willing. They want to move. So they've been satisfied with, like you say, harassing this person, but yet you convince them this isn't where you want to be. Go to the light.
Yeah, but I take them through my own process in which a healing happens between the person that they're upset with and them.
Look at Rebecca. Rebecca's just like chomping at the bit. I know she's got something. I see smoke coming out of her. Oh, I can't see the smoke because she's got earbuds in. Is something on your mind, Rebecca?
I guess the only thing is why you kind of touched on it with the hospital analogy, why people get stuck. And then do they have to stay in the hospital and attach to somebody there? Like they're stuck in the hospital because they weren't expecting to die, didn't want to go. And now, I'm a patient in the hospital and I'm in that bed and they decide to attach to me. I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, that can happen just like that. I had a client who her husband actually became very possessed, and every day, like, his whole personality changed, and every day he would come home and he would just get into the bed and pull the covers over his head. It was just really different and a little bit bizarre, and she didn't know what was going on with him. Well, what I diagnosed was that he had a negative entity with him, which we're probably not going to talk about on the show today, but it wasn't human. We'll just put it that way. And so I removed that while she and I were in session in my office. I can astro travel. I can go pretty much anywhere on the planet and, and help. Whether it's a person, an animal, I can, if it's a building that's a house that's been haunted for 30 years, I'm the one that can go in and remove the ghost, which is the layperson's term. But to come back to the story, so once I removed the non-human entity from him, the bizarre behavior stopped. Then it turned out there were two boys also hanging out in the bedroom. The two boys had died. They were brothers, and they had died in a car accident, teenagers. And the client's coworker, they both worked in a insurance business, car insurance. So they were with her coworker, and they jumped onto my client. She brought them home. They decided to hang out in the bedroom until I discovered them and talked to them and found out what happened. And that's when I got their story, I said to the client, these are two boys that are brothers. They're saying they were in a car accident. They were with 2 or 3 other boys. And I said when it happened, and she said, oh my God. I work in an insurance agency, and 5 boys were killed at the time that you said, 6 months ago. And I know who these 2 boys are.
Wow. How do you separate a mental or illness or a physical ailment that could cause symptoms of any sort, from separating that from what you see? How do you have somebody go to a physician first to rule things out?
No, I do not believe in the medical model unless it's a real emergency. People pick up more when they go into a medical establishment than they walked in with very often. Not healthy places. What I do is I check and see, I get the forms. Again, I've got the counseling background, so I have a few counseling forms that I send them online, because I work long distance all over the world. And I review the forms, and if I suspect that there is a negative energy or spirit with the person, that's the first order of business. Once that is taken care of, once I remove them, him, her, or them, then I see, what the remaining symptoms are. And then at that point, I would go into the Pechet Healing Technique and start healing the issues. I call those core issues. Could be, from childhood, depression, abandonment, abuse, post-traumatic stress. Maybe they were hit as a child, whatever. But there's two very separate issues. One is the other outside influences, and then the other is the person's core issues. Does that make sense?
Totally. I I need to collect my thoughts, Ellie. And so I think we're going to just take a little break. Stay tuned. We've got more right after this. So what comes up on the screen when we're in break? Are we still?
Yeah, well, there's an option here because I'm recording this.
Right.
So in the future, you can just sit there through the break, so it's all on the break, and you don't have to do editing, because I'll send you the video in a Dropbox.
Okay.
And then
because you don't publish the video anywhere else.
Well, that's what we haven't had a chance to talk about that yet. But I want to do. But all the other hosts are doing Facebook Live at the same time.
Right.
And so I would do audio off of our website and live video off our Facebook page, which I in turn also start a watch party on Contact Talk Radio. And that works really well as well.
Nice.
And get lots of exposure that way.
Nice.
Too
many. You're adding to all of these moving parts.
Yes, I am. Stand by. Here we go.
Welcome back to Life Mastery Radio. If you've just tuned in, our guest today is Ellie Pechet, and she has written a book called Hitching a Ride, a guide to earthbound spirits and how they affect you. And as always, many of you know, I like to surf around and see what other people think. And if you Google Ellie Pechet and you go to her YouTube channel, she has many, many, many testimonials that will just give you a clue about her work and what to expect. But I also like to look and see what other people think. And I found this, and I want to share it with you. Most of us are totally unaware of the possibilities that earthbound entities can and do invade our auroric field, causing many of the imbalances we experience physically, mentally, and emotionally. These entities act like hitchhikers and can stay with us a short time or our whole life, wreaking havoc until we find a therapist who understands how to release them. Ellie Pechet is that therapist. She has developed a gentle and effective method of releasing these beings to the light so they can continue on their own journey. Then our own ultimate healing can occur. Her fascinating book is chock full of stories of people who had no idea why they were unable to overcome their issues until they found Ellie. I highly recommend this book. You won't want to put it down. I can tell you I could not put it down, and applied Ellie's expertise as a medium and a true healer. And that came from Donna. And if you want to know more about Ellie, her website is www.phoenixrisinghealing.com. And that link is up on today's show page at lifemasteryradio.net. And we'll put her phone number there as well, because she wants you to call her. That number is 508-237-4929. That link, again, will be on lifemasteryradio.net. Oh, my goodness, Ellie. I mean, this is just fast. I'm just blown away. So one question that comes to my mind, though, is if I'm in a place of low energy, distraught, not feeling high energy and just kind of low, maybe in a funk, am I more susceptible to let hitchhikers in my ride? Or is, yeah?
Yeah, that's a really good point, Todd. Absolutely, which is why I think that clearing the core issues for clients after I've removed negative energies is so important, because it's the unresolved core issues, also known as wounds, that make people more susceptible and more vulnerable to being attacked. And it really is an attack when someone is, in somebody's energy space without their permission.
That's fascinating. Okay, so here, I'm just going to be all out there and open. I just experienced some heartbreak. I allowed my heart to be broken. And during that distress and that trauma, I don't want to say trauma because it was an experience. It truly was an experience. But I would find myself, and the only way I can describe it, Ellie, is at night, not being able to sleep. Kokopelli. You know who Kokopelli is?
Remind me.
Kokopelli is a Native American entity that harasses people, and he's called the jokester and the prankster. And so I really got this feeling that Kokopelli was coming and just messing with me and really trying to just harass me. Is that the experience I was experiencing? Maybe a spirit noticing that I was low energy and that they could jump on my ride easily?
That's very possible. Yeah, like I say, you're more susceptible, especially when you're in a place of grieving a loss or a trauma. Definitely you're more susceptible because your guard is down, right? Your vibration is down.
So then, okay, let's just describe this a little bit more, because this, I noticed this. And so then I would notice this Kokopelli. That's my only description, because he's a little mischievous prankster and just, really sensing that I was low energy. But then I would stand up for myself like a wizard on top of a mountain and just kick at him and kick him back down, and he'd roll down the hill, and, I'd throw fire at him and just keep him away, and I would feel better.
Huh. Oh, okay. That's great. Could you actually see him, or were you imagining this?
Half in sleep, half out of sleep, not quite there yet. Yeah, I could clearly see this, and I don't know that I could put a face on it, but there was a being of some sort that I was in battle with, and it was trying to take my hill, and I wasn't going to let that happen.
That's great, Todd. That says a lot. And what you did was very empowering for you, and that's why you felt better. Whenever we take care of ourselves and we protect ourselves, we feel better, stronger. It's very important.
So, Jackie, you don't need to call the people with the white jackets.
So I'll have to cancel. It.
I just had to share that because it was quite the experience, and I had never experienced that before. Sometimes it wouldn't be a wizard. I'd be like a knight with a sword and just slaying the dragons. And I found great relief in it. And this is the first time I've ever shared it live here on Life Mastery Radio, just for all of you. Yeah.
So Ellie, does someone have the capability of ridding themselves of these spirits, or do they need someone like you to
Good
help?
question.
Yeah, not usually, but there are exceptions. Todd, did you feel better after that? Did you see
Totally.
this figure again?
And then I would find myself low energy, kind of feeling down on myself, and I would bring that vision in and get great relief from that. So
yeah.
I guess when I'm doing the research today and then just in talking to you, this just kept coming back to me. And with Jackie's question, do we have the ability to put up that energy field around us and say, get away from me. I don't want any more of this. You're done. Go away.
Well, there are two answers to that question. One is, for people who have had spirits or other energy forms attached to them, once I remove them and help them by healing the core issues, and as they naturally become stronger, more empowered, and their vibration is higher, they're much less susceptible. So it's a natural process. The other part of the question is, most people cannot remove spirits themselves. However, I can tell you that after, working as a shaman for the last 17 years with removing spirits and other energies from people, there have been several people, maybe a handful, that I've been able to teach how to do it themselves. But that's like 5 people out of 17 years.
Right. Teach people. Well, let me make sure I'm clear. Teach people how to do it for others, or teach people how to do it for themselves?
Absolutely not how to do it for others.
Okay.
How to do it for themselves. It takes a lot of skill, and it takes a high level of ability to be able to remove spirits. That's why a lot of times the churches are not successful.
Right.
The priests are not successful. I've had many clients come to me that have gone to the priests and the churches, and they were not able to help them. So the average person, most of the time, is not able to remove spirits from themselves or other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Rebecca, do you have a question? You're being really quiet, and just, I know, if there's one person in this world that is just high energy, she's like the Energizer Bunny. That's Rebecca Murray. But yet I'm looking at her, and she's just sitting there like she's ready to spring.
It's because I'm on a bouncy chair.
There you go. That's the Rebecca I know.
No, I guess I just figure that these spirits, they could decide they don't want to inhabit person A anymore, and they jump on to person B or C. I mean, just because they choose somebody doesn't mean that they're there for the duration of their life, right?
Unless they're a karmic spirit. Most typically, a random spirit can decide to stay with the same host for the rest of their life, but like you say, they can decide to go to somebody else.
Wow. Well, Ellie, you've got some special projects going on, right?
Yeah.
And I understand you're looking for some sponsors for those projects. Can you tell our audience what you need?
Yes. I have been doing this work now for a number of years, since Dick Cheney was in office. I've worked with him and other politicians.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And in order to help, to help everybody. And I can't say too much about that on air, but I'm very good at being able to work with pretty much any individual. And so whether it's a person in a position of leadership that can impact a lot of people, that, that's one area that I can make a big difference. And the other area that I'm, that I work with, that I call my special projects, is working with animals that need help. One of the projects has been working with the elephants and the wildlife in Africa and the poachers, that go after them. I can heal the PTSD for the elephants as a collective group. I also did a clearing on the poachers and the group of men behind the poachers. And that's all that I'm going to say about that right now.
So how do you get to be a sponsor for one of your projects?
I have I have a GoFundMe page that I'm working on. If anyone is interested, they can contact me, through my phone number, or the best way is to call me at the 508-237-4929. And I'm trying to set up a GoFundMe page so that people can donate there. I think I set one up on Facebook, but I haven't gotten any responses yet. The other project that I'm working on currently is the whales. I tuned into them about 10 days ago, and 3 out of 5 have a lot of plastic in them. And when I check the sea turtles, 5 out of 5 have ingested plastic. And so I've been putting a lot of time and energy into reducing the plastic in them collectively and healing them. I'm also working on the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, which is where I am, as you saw. And part of what I'm doing is actually cleaning the ocean. And I was told it's a lot better. It's easier for them to breathe. My next project is to do some kind of awareness increasing work with the boaters who are going to be getting on the water in the next couple of weeks. And that's a huge risk for the whales, the sea turtles, especially the whales, because they're so slow moving and they're so enormous, and they can't hear the motor, they can't hear the engines. So if boats are going every which way, it's not only the motor that can cut them, it's also the boat itself that goes about 5 to 8 feet underwater, and whales and turtles hang out, several feet underwater, and you can't see, they can't see that they're there.
In your book, you tell a story about a time that you've helped your first whale, right?
That's right.
Dying whale and its calf.
You did your homework. Yeah,
that was so cool.
That's right, Jackie. That this was about probably like 10 years ago, and a whale was hit by a ship, and she was wounded. And yes, I helped her transition to the light, and her calf transition to the light before the sharks could arrive, because they were bleeding. And so now I'm dealing with it again on a larger scale, and just trying to come up with the best plan to reach the whales, the turtles, and the boaters. And all of this work is telepathic, and it takes time and energy, and that's why I'm looking for sponsors.
Wow. Well, good luck. That's such a worthwhile project. Thank you.
Yeah, as soon as you get those links, Ellie, we would be more than happy to put them up on our Facebook page and the homepage.
Oh, thank you.
My goodness, we just have about 5 minutes. Oh, looks like we just have 3 minutes left. Didn't this go by quick? Look, she's still smiling.
It was nice talking with all of you.
Did you have fun, Ellie?
Yeah, Yeah, it was really good. It's very good to share. And how was it for all of you?
Ah, fabulous.
This is the highlight of my week, and I'm sure this is Rebecca's first show with Life Mastery Radio, and we hope to have her back. We'll see if she agrees. Did you have fun, Rebecca?
Of course, I had fun.
Okay. I do want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net, and we have Ellie's website up there, and we'll get her phone number up there a little bit later. Oh my gosh. Thanks again, Ellie, for showing up as you and doing the amazing work that you do in the world.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
I want to have a session with you, Ellie.
Call me, Jackie. You have my number?
Yes, I got your number. We'll talk.
I can work with you. Yeah, no matter where you are, I can work with you.
Nice. Okay.
I think it was about 2 years ago do you know Rose Dedane, Ellie?
No.
She's a shamanic healer for animals.
Animals. She
And
helped me a few years ago.
And I did a show with her, and it was like the next day, Jackie was telling me about her dog, and her dog was having issues. I said, call Rose. And Jackie had an amazing experience. We don't have enough time to go into it all today, but Jackie had an amazing experience with Rose and her dog. And
Jackie has a turtle.
Maybe you and Ellie can hook up. And Jackie has a turtle.
I had a turtle too for 30 years. I had it.
Oh, my tortoise is only 5, but she's going to outlive me, I'm sure.
Yeah, is she getting really big?
She is. Yeah, she's.
How big is she?
Almost 6 inches long now. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. How big can she get?
Probably 18 to 19 inches. She's a redfoot tortoise, so they don't get to the big size. But yeah.
Okay, ladies, we are out of time.
Okay,
darn. So sorry, this went by so fast. Please tune in again. Next week, we've got Chris Prochaska on the air, on the radio. She's a good friend of Jackie and I's, and that's going to be a lot of fun, too. Lastly, please make it a great day. It's all about choice, and you should choose to connect with Ellie Pechet after the show. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Okay, you're clear.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Ellie.